Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take complex topics, sift through the sources, and pull out the key insights to help you get well-informed fast. Today, we're diving into some really compelling material. It's excerpts from Albion's Fall, DedSec Ignites London's Rebellion, specifically Chapter 7, Albion, Cores de Verdad.
Which translates to Albion, Colors of Truth.
Exactly.
And our mission today really is to trace the big turning points in DedSec's fight against Albion, the private security force running London, and particularly its leader, Nigel Cass. We're looking at how this, digital resistance group manages to expose a regime that's built entirely on control and, frankly, misinformation.
Yeah, we'll follow DedSec's tactics, their digital warfare approach, and also the emotional core behind their fight for truth. It's really a story about digging up buried secrets.
And reigniting that spark of rebellion. And you'll see how every move they make, whether it's sneaking into a stronghold or uncovering some old injustice, it all chips away at this seemingly untouchable empire. What's really fascinating, I think, is just the sheer cleverness in how truth finds a way out.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Restoking the fire. The sources talk about DedSec returning, not just to any location, but right back to the origins of an older rebellion.
Yeah, and this is so important because it's all about uncovering this foundational lie. Something Albion kind of built its power on. The truth is literally buried under the stage of an old auditorium.
A place where lies were rehearsed and tragedies enacted. It's pretty evocative language.
It really is. And they use AR, augmented reality, to reconstruct what happened there.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The reconstruction shows a past fire wasn't an accident at all.
No. The source says it was manipulated, calculated, silenced. Chilling stuff.
So if the very origin story of this tragedy was faked, engineered even, what does that say about the regime?
It completely undermines them, doesn't it? It changes everything. It suggests they didn't just allow it. Maybe they even caused it. And DedSec's goal here isn't just destruction. It's about remembering. It's about reigniting that flame of revolt, as the text puts it.
Okay, so from reigniting that history, DedSec then really zooms in on Nigel Cass himself, the face of Albion.
And the sources paint him as this guy who thinks he's flawless. He doesn't make mistakes. He erases his tracks. Total control freak, basically.
Sets up that classic cat and mouse.
But DedSec is getting much bolder here. They're not just reacting anymore.
Right. They don't just call him out. They actually infiltrate his camp. They're deactivating towers, moving like shadows among the tents. Esprite entre estendas como sombras is the phrase used.
That's it. That precision. And it leads them to find this hidden tablet.
Which isn't just data logs or emails.
No, the source says it reveals guilt. His guilt. And then, crucially, DedSec uses the very platform Cass used for control, his stage, to expose him, turning his own tools against him.
So, hitting Cass directly like that, what does it mean for Albion's grip on the city? I mean, the sources say Albion saw themselves as pastors.
Yeah, and the people as their sheep. It's a very paternalistic, controlling image.
So DedSec's response has to be more than just fighting.
Exactly. It's symbolic, too. They decide to break the staff. It's about dismantling that false moral authority, showing Albion isn't protecting anyone. They're controlling them.
And how do they actually, do that? The sources mention infiltrating towers, taking out lookouts.
And importantly, going after the drones, taking to the skies to destroy the eyes that see everything, hitting their surveillance network hard.
Right, their eyes in the sky.
But even while they're under attack, soldiers advancing, all that chaos, the upload of truth begins.
Yeah.
Information starts flowing out.
So they're fighting and leaking information at the same time.
Yeah, it shows how you can subvert a surveillance state's own network. The truth gets out regardless. It always finds a way, as the source claims. It weaponizes the network itself.
Okay, beyond the big battles and hacks, there's also a really personal story here, isn't there? Claire.
Ah, yes, Claire. A young woman who was erased, basically, for challenging the system, someone they tried to silence.
And this is where DedSec uses tech in a different way, not for surveillance, but for justice.
Precisely. Technology as a scalpel. They use a spider bot for forensic analysis. Yeah. These little drones can get into small spaces, scan things.
What did they find?
Pretty grim evidence. A trail of blood and a K carved into the wall. Hints of a story someone tried desperately to bury.
So they bring her story back to light?
Yeah. The source says Claire is finally heard. The truth echoes through corridors and servers. And significantly, Cass hears it too.
So it hits him directly. It's not abstract anymore.
No, it becomes real. It's about accountability, not just for DedSec, but for the whole city.
Which brings us to Albion's whole image. London's protectors, that was their brand.
Mm-hmm. A brand DedSec completely demolishes by revealing their shields were handcuffs. It's such a powerful image. Protection is just another form of control.
And meanwhile, Nigel Cass is trying to hide away in his fortress. Layers of security.
But DedSec gets in anyway, silently, like a virus. It really highlights how vulnerable even these high-tech fortresses can be.
They're methodical, accessing terminals, hacking cameras, taking out guards.
One by one. Their goal isn't just the building. It's an elevator described as descending to the truth, leading right to Cass, unmasking him.
And that leads to the climax, the boss fight. Cass activates his big weapon, this arm tower, his arena of domination.
Yeah, his last stand, trying to exert that final bit of absolute control. It's like his personal fortress becomes his cage. But DedSec, they've learned his systems. They learned to play with circuits and steady pulls. They know how to break it.
The source describes it really vividly. Each bypass a crack in his defenses, each shot to the weak point, a cry of revolt.
It's poetic almost. The system crumbling under its own weight, exploited by those it oppressed.
And then Cass falls.
Yep, disarmed, exposed, and the sources are clear. He's not seen as some kind of martyr. He's revealed as a monster.
And London sees it happen. For the first time, truly sees.
That clarity, that shared understanding of the truth after so much deception, that's a victory in itself, isn't it? Liberation through seeing reality.
So Cass is gone. What happens next? Does Albion just disappear?
Well, the sources say Albion bleeds. Its empire of surveillance begins to crumble. So a major blow, definitely. But there's a warning. Addicted power always tries to return. It's not suggesting the fight is completely over. It's a realistic take.
Yeah, victory isn't necessarily permanent peace.
Right. The struggle might continue, just differently.
And what about DedSec? Their role changes.
Mm-hmm. They move from being just a symbol to being action. They've proven they can make a real difference.
And London itself, how is the city left feeling?
The sources say it breathes, which is huge after everything. But it breathes with fear, but with hope.
Fear and hope together. That sounds about right after shaking off a regime like Albion.
Exactly. It's not instant utopia. It's that fragile moment after the battle. The future's uncertain, but there's finally a possibility for something better. The chains are starting to loosen.
Wow, what a journey through that chapter. We've really unpacked how DedSec used truth, tech, and strategy to take down Albion, exposing lies, infiltrating fortresses, remembering forgotten victims.
It really shows how fragile that kind of authoritarian control can be when faced with determined resistance, especially when technology is used to spread truth, not just suppress it. Even the tightest grip can slip.
So for you listening, maybe think about this. How much does a regime like Albion rely on just controlling the story? And what power does information, just raw truth, have in breaking that control, not just militarily, but in people's minds?
Yeah, and think about that idea of uploading truth as an act of liberation itself. How does that change things? And consider London's state at the end breathing with fear and hope. Can that hope ultimately win out, even when the memory of fear is still so fresh? Something to chew on.